Hello everybody, Dave from Area Rackets back once again. I know you guys are probably getting sick of my voice, but this is the Grammostola grossa. There is a small nymph red runner in there with it, and it's not really interested in eating, but today's theme of this first video series for today is hanging with the Grammies. You saw the species north yesterday that's in Primo, and the species mall that ate. So the only three left are this one here, and then the two, the rosea and the porteri. So we're going to try and feed those two. Hopefully they'll eat. I did do some attempted feedings earlier because I was just going to do kind of a sling feeding video, and no one was cooperating with me. The Orphanacus philippinus cheddar is not interested in eating. Don't know why, because it doesn't look like it's in pre-molt, but it's just kind of avoiding its food. Needs to be wet down though. The Chilobrachys fimbriatus did eat, but you didn't really see anything. It was just a roach at the top of a burrow, and webbing, and the spider came up, kind of pulled it down. That's all you really saw, and it was at the edge of the enclosure, so it was hard to really get it on film. I wish, with these species like this, I wish that they would burrow. You like them when they burrow on the side so you could see them, but for filming, you almost wish they would burrow in the middle of the enclosure so that you can actually catch them on film. It's very difficult to film these Asian species. The Chilobrachys species Cancrishon, the roach just went in one of the network of tunnels, so I have no idea if it ate or it didn't eat. And the Sednoctimus brachyrimosa, that's a pre-kill. I have to pre-kill stuff because that's the spider that doesn't have its pedipulp. So that one is yet to eat the pre-killed roach. It's right in front of it, but it hasn't attempted to eat it. So I thought we'd just skip over those guys, and I did feed the Brachypelma baumgarteni, which didn't feed on camera, but is eating right now. So, yeah, so we're going to just do these three for this part, and then we're going to do Arkham, the Chromatopelma cyanaeopubescens. I think he'll be ready to eat now. Get him fed, and I'll discuss what the possibilities of stuff that might be coming in next week, because I'll have like a surprise package, I guess you can call it. And this will be from friends of mine. I sent some stuff to them, and they wanted to kind of return the favor, and they're going to Tinley and kind of ask for like we're actually going to go underneath something there, or oh yeah, you can't see me. Yeah, he's pulling a Cena on us. So I do need to name. I mean, I like John Cena. I was never a big wrestling guy. Back in the 80s, I was, but I don't really follow the wrestling anymore. But I do want to name one of my spiders Cena. I got to figure out which one I want to name Cena. I think that's kind of a cool name, actually. But anyway, we'll discuss this stuff when I get to Arkham, and we'll try to get these two Grammostolas out and ready here, the porteri and the rosea. Okay, so this is the rosea, Lana. I named this one, and again, if it turns out to be male, then we'll just change the name to Alan. But this is the one that's been doing nothing but some serious excavating, so it's done all that work, so I'm hoping that it might be hungry. Yes, it is. But are we actually going to see it? Because now it's made this network of tunnels. Now we just got to get El Rocho to come back to it. I mean, if you actually could see, I'll try and show you guys here as soon as the roach is over in the opposite corner over here. But what this spider has dug out on the bottom of this is just, it's not like you haven't seen spiders dig, but I've never seen the rosea and porteri dig as much as they have. Again, when they were real tiny slings, they may have had a small little burrow, but not much of anything. And both of them to start digging at the same time like they are is just kind of interesting. Turn that light off. Try and save the battery so we don't lose it. And we need to. But you could see all the way around here what it's done. So the only actual dirt is in the middle, and then on that one corner. So it's all the way around So there, it's dug out. You can see him going there. He's going over towards where the roach actually is, I think. I don't know where the roach went now. But, yeah, there's the little one. It's done some serious work. Where's the roach? Oh, the roach is right there. It's above you, buddy. And then again, when you get into these situations, it's kind of hard to manipulate. Excuse me. The feeders, because really can't start poking around in there. I mean, we want to see him eat. I want to see him eat, and I know you guys want to see him eat. That's the whole part of feeding videos. But there we go. Good girl. They both of these, the porteri and the rosea slings, have been excellent eaters for me. This one went when I first got it in. It went 200 some odd days without me physically seeing it eat. Now I threw some fruit flies in there, and with the holes, you never know if the fruit flies escape or not, but I never actually physically saw it eat. So it molted, it ate once, it molted, and then I didn't actually physically see it eat until 3 weeks after it molted the second time. So it's almost a year in between. After that, this gal's been a pretty good hammer. Generally will eat pretty much every time you put it in there. And they're pretty easy to tell. These two have been easy to tell when they're in pre-molt because they get so shiny. So you just kind of back off, and how Grammostola are, they can take their time in pre-molt going into molt. So, all right, let's move on to the porteri. So here is Ingrid, another one that I just named female because I wanted to. This is the Grammostola porteri. We'll see if this one wants to eat too. This guy's been a pretty good eater so far too. Yep. Like I said, I know a lot of people get real sketchy about getting Grammostola rosea or Grammostola porteri as first time beginner spiders or tarantulas. So this is going to be, just a real quick, I'll explain. I don't know if I did this already or not. And I know I started to do this, and I don't know if I actually uploaded it or not. I really honestly can't remember. When you start doing so many videos like this, you kind of forget what you've done and what you haven't done. But to go back to, we'll home in on this guy here so you guys can watch it. So hopefully it'll stay above ground. You're not going to, or you're going to go down below. Of course you are going to go down below. Why wouldn't you? That's probably why you dug everything, so you could have some privacy, right? So we'll just do this. Okay, you can, well, yep, maybe not. You can kind of watch it, but anyway. A lot of people kind of shy people away from getting Grammostola porteri, Grammostola rosea, and I'm gonna try my best to explain the situation. And again, if I've explained this before, then please, I might have even done it this last week. I can't even remember. Anyway, the whole process of the whole wild caught thing. So when you're going to a pet store, you're getting a 4-inch Grammostola rosea porteri that was yanked out of the wild and brought here to the United States or England or wherever it is that you get them. They're not captive bred, so they're used to a certain way of life, basically. So again, they're from someplace that has cycles throughout the year. So they're going to have times when there's a lot of food, so they eat a lot, and there's times when there's not going to be any food for a long time, and they don't eat. So they kind of get their bodies into that system. They adapt to where they're at. So when you bring them home after getting them from a wild caught or pet store or expo or wherever it is that you're getting them, they tend to go on fast, and they tend to not eat for a long time. And that's a big drawback to brand new keepers, because you really want to see them eat. You go on YouTube, you watch all these videos of all these spiders taking down food, you go get one, and it doesn't want to eat. And it doesn't want to eat. And then 2 weeks later, you're on the Facebook group saying, my tarantula won't eat, why? And well, what is it? Well, it's Grammostola rosea. Well, they can go 9 months, a year, 2 years without eating. So that is really the biggest drawback for me as far as beginners. And getting an actual Grammostola rosea or porteri as your first tarantula. So my advice to you is, if you enjoy the species, if you like the species, either one of them, or actually any of the Grammostola, any of the Faunopelma, make sure that you're getting a captive bred one. And I would start out at a 1 inch or 1.5 inch sling, because those are going to be captive bred. Again, I haven't had any issues feeding these two. I mean, the first one, the Grammostola rosea, did go for a little while, and it did kind of freak me out a little bit, just because it was a small sling and it took forever to eat. But now it's fine. It's been eating like crazy. So I wouldn't shy away from them. I would just be a little bit more selective of what you're getting. And it's no different than when you're going to and I'll give you an example. And again, I hope nobody takes offense to this, but you're going to go to an expo, and we'll just take Tinley for an example this weekend. And I don't know who all is going to be there vending tarantulas other than Pelt Friction, mostly reptiles, and Fear Not tarantulas. I'm not sure if Evan Stahl will be there. I'm pretty sure he will be. I don't know what he'll have as far as tarantulas are concerned. He's a pretty good guy. And I'm not sure if Pinchers and Pokies will be there. I think they're from South Carolina. So I don't know if they're going to go to Tinley and sell or not. But those are the ones I would recommend going to, because you're going to get mostly captive bred stuff. And Ruth from mostly reptiles will let you know if what she has is a wild caught stuff. So not that I'm telling you shouldn't get wild caught stuff, but I would be more leery. I would be more apt to buy stuff that people have bred here, or got in as imports from breeding in Europe, from Poland or Germany or wherever it is that we're getting the breeding stuff from, and get them smaller. Get a Grammostola porteri like this one at 1 inch. This one's a little over an inch, maybe just 1.25 inches. And you'll notice a difference between their feeding habits and their eating habits. And if they get older and bigger, they're going to slow down a little bit. They don't need to eat as often. But I haven't had any problems. My Grammostola species north is a wild-caught specimen. She eats pretty much any time I feed her, unless she's in pre-molt. I've never had her really turn food down. Same with the Grammostola species north, a wild-caught tarantula. Never really had an issue feeding her. And that's because I don't try feeding her every 3 days or every 5 days, or you try to space it out like every 2 weeks to 3 weeks, and then you don't give them something that's too big. Most of the times they're going to eat, and I think that's a big problem. Is new keepers don't understand the feeding habits of tarantulas. They've kept dogs, or they've kept cats, or they kept gerbils or rats or whatever. They got to feed every day. Even a snake that you're feeding once every 5 days or 7 days or 10 days or whatever it is. I'm not sure how often you're feeding snakes. I mean, I need to feed a snapping turtle like every other day. The geckos have food almost all the time, whether it's mealworms or crickets, or they have the calcium powder in there. But you don't have to feed these spiders and these tarantulas this often. True spiders, you need to feed a little bit more. They grow quicker. They're much more active for the most part. They're not as sedentary as tarantulas are, so they need to have a little bit more feedings, especially jumping spiders and like Dolomedes, the fishing spiders. Wolf spiders are pretty active at night. Your huntsman spiders, stuff like that, wandering spiders, all that stuff, they need to be fed a little bit more often than a tarantula sling would. So I think just getting into that pattern of figuring out how often you need to feed and what size feeder you should be giving. I mean, I've seen people give some seriously oversized prey to a tarantula that's already not in need of feeding. So it's once you do that, if you fatten the sling up, I mean super fat, you get that sling just super fat because you're trying to power feed it to molt. Generally, when it molts, it's already going to be big again. It's already going to have a decent sized abdomen. So overfeeding tarantulas in the beginning, to me, it's just not necessary. I don't understand why people power feed. I really don't. I mean, I know that people say you want to get them out of the sensitive stage, and no matter what you do in a egg sack of 500 spiders, over the course of the next 8 to 10 years, if 100 of those 500 in captivity actually make it to adult size, I'll be surprised. Because even captive bred slings are going to have issues that they may live for 2 or 3 molts, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're dead. Hysterocrates gigas, I just had it. Spider was doing fine. 8 was doing fine. 2 days later, it's curled up, and I didn't even know it. Yeah, look what happened to my Pamphobedius pedersi female. She molted, lost a leg. I didn't know it, you know, and she died. Everything was perfectly fine with her prior to that. So you just don't know. So I would not hesitate at all recommending a Grammostola rosea or porteri any more than I would, you know, a Grammostola pulchra or a Grammostola grossa. I think any of the Grammostolas, really honestly, are good beginner species. So, you know, don't be... I mean, people have their reasons and ideas for, you know, not recommending Grammostola porteris or roseas as first tarantulas, and most of it has to do with, you know, their kind of schizo or kind of crazy behavior changes. And, you know, again, you could have a rosea that's perfectly fine one day and then try to eat your face the next day, but you could say that about almost any of the tarantula species. Like Brachypelma albopilosum Nicaraguan male is, I wouldn't trust him. I'd love to hold that dude because he's so fluffy, but I don't trust him. I trust the hobby form female way more than I would trust him. And I trust a few of my other actual tarantulas more than I would trust him, just because of his aggressiveness towards food and anything that's in his enclosure. You know, he almost acts like a Lasiodora paraibana or a Nandu chromatus. Anything in their enclosure is a prey item. So yeah, I definitely, if you're going to Tinley and you're thinking about getting, you know, a beginner species tarantula, and you're thinking about Grammostola rosea or porteri, get them about this size right here, about an inch and a quarter. You won't be disappointed. They're, again, I have no problems feeding mine. They're not fasting. They're doing really well, and even in this winter weather. Now they're digging, so, you know, they're underground now. This guy you could see, and you saw what happened with the rosea there. I surprised that the Grammostola grossa hasn't dug, but it may after a molt. We'll see. But yeah, so yeah, end this up with the go get them. Go to Tinley and get one. I highly recommend them. Go find one. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And if you have it from the time it's a sling till it starts to grow, you're gonna understand its behavior changes. And, you know, it's not like you can read their moods, because you can't. You know, you can't just look in the enclosure and say, oh, spider's in a bad mood today. You really have to kind of interact with it in order to know that. You know, open the lid, try to water it, feed it, you know, move it with the paintbrush or whatever. Then you're going to kind of get an idea. But so yeah, I hope you guys are okay with this video. Footage isn't the best, but hopefully Arkham's going to give us a good show here later on this afternoon. So have a great day, and thanks again for tuning in. I'll try to do some more goofy videos like I did last night with Mike. I can be somewhat comedic at times, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, and I think we're trying to look at something. I'm trying to figure out another thing to do with our tarantula YouTube community too. I know we're still going through the tag videos, and Payton's just done hers and is loaded. Jay Adams from Bluegrass Inverts has his up. We're waiting for a couple other ones. And Gariz is next up. He was tagged by Jay, so he'll be up. That'll be a good one to see. He does pretty good work. So I'm interested to see his video. So yeah, we'll keep putting the videos out there. Hope you guys like them. If you have suggestions, please leave them down below. If there's something you'd like to see here during the March Madness, please, I'm looking for some ideas, because I'm going to run out of ideas pretty quick. I may need to take a couple days off just to fuel the burners again. But yeah, so have a great day. We'll see you all later. And my spiders hate me. I can tell you that right now. My Ceratojaris darlingi has pretty much built a wall all the way up to the lid, as has the Cereopagopus lividus overnight. Completely brought the burrow all the way up to the lid. Not real happy about that. So, and you know what? You can decrease the amount of substrate, and they're still going to bring it all the way up to the lid anyway, just because they hate us. Have a great day, guys.